Have you ever had that feeling, that inexplicable pull towards something or someone that you can't quite understand? That was me 2 years ago, standing in the pouring rain at my grandmother's funeral. I was mourning the loss of the woman who had raised me, the woman who had been my rock, my confidante, my everything. The cemetery was eerily quiet, except for the sound of the rain hitting the umbrellas and the distant rumble of thunder. I stood there, clutching the small, worn velvet box that contained her most precious possessions, feeling a void that seemed impossible to fill. As the priest finished his prayers and the crowd began to disperse, I found myself lingering, unable to tear myself away from the graveside. That's when I noticed her, a stranger, standing a few yards away under a large black umbrella. She was tall and slender, with short, dark hair that framed her face, and eyes that seemed to hold a world of secrets. She was dressed in a tailored black suit, stark against the gray backdrop of the cemetery. I couldn't help but stare, drawn to her in a way that I couldn't explain. Our eyes met, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. It was as if the world around us faded away, and it was just the two of us, connected by an invisible thread. I felt a jolt, a spark, a sensation that was both unfamiliar and exhilarating. It was like nothing I had ever experienced before, and it left me breathless. But as quickly as the moment came, it passed. The stranger broke our gaze, turning to walk away, and I was left standing there, wondering if I had imagined the whole thing. I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts, and turned back to the grave. I knelt down, placing the velvet box on the freshly turned earth, and whispered a final goodbye to the woman who had meant so much to me. As I stood up, I noticed something peculiar. The velvet box, which I had assumed contained my grandmother's favorite jewelry, was open, its contents exposed to the rain. But instead of rings or necklaces, the box held something entirely different, a stack of letters, tied with a faded ribbon, and a small, antique pocket watch. I picked up the box, my curiosity piqued, and as I did, a sudden gust of wind blew the top letter out of the box and into the air. I chased after it, my heart pounding, as if the letter held some vital clue to a mystery I didn't even know existed. As I reached out to grab it, I felt a hand brush against mine, and I looked up to see the stranger, her eyes locked onto mine once again. She held the letter, her fingers tracing the faded ink, and as she handed it to me, I felt that spark again, that inexplicable pull. "I think this is yours," she said, her voice soft but steady, like a calm in the storm. I took the letter from her, our fingers brushing against each other, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. "Thank you," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. I wanted to say more, to ask her name, to find out why she was here, but the words seemed to catch in my throat. She smiled at me, a sad, knowing smile, and then turned to walk away. I watched her go, feeling a sense of loss that I couldn't quite understand. It was as if a piece of me was walking away with her, a piece that I hadn't even known existed until that moment. I looked down at the letter in my hand, the ink blurred by the rain, and I felt a sudden, inexplicable urge to read it. I carefully unfolded the paper, my heart pounding in my chest, and as I read the words, I felt my world shift beneath my feet. The letter was dated over 50 years ago, and it was addressed to my grandmother, but it wasn't the sender's name that caught my attention. It was the content of the letter itself. It was a love letter, a confession of feelings that were both beautiful and forbidden, a testament to a love that had been kept hidden from the world. And as I read the final line, I felt my breath catch in my throat. I will love you until the stars fall from the sky, and even then, my love will remain eternal and unyielding. I looked up, my eyes scanning the cemetery, searching for the stranger, but she was gone, swallowed up by the rain and the fog. I felt a pang of regret, a longing to see her again, to find out who she was, to understand the connection that I had felt between us. But little did I know that our story was far from over, and that the letters in the velvet box would lead me on a journey of discovery, of love, and of a destiny that was written in the stars. And as I stood there, in the pouring rain, I had no idea that my life was about to change in the most unexpected, most extraordinary way possible. But more on that later. For now, let me take you back to that moment, to the rain, to the letters, and to the stranger who would become so much more than just a fleeting glimpse in the storm. As I walked away from the cemetery, the rain-soaked letter clutched tightly in my hand. I couldn't shake the feeling that my life had just taken an abrupt turn down an unknown path. The words of the letter echoed in my mind, a poignant testament to a love that had been kept hidden, a love that transcended time and circumstance. I needed to know more, to understand the story behind the letters and the mysterious pocket watch. I hurried back to my grandmother's house, the old Victorian where I had spent so much of my childhood. The house was quiet, filled with the echoes of memories and the faint scent of her perfume. I made my way up to the attic, where boxes of old photographs and keepsakes were stored, hoping to find some clue, some connection to the letters. As I rummaged through the dusty boxes, I came across an old photo album. The pages were yellowed with age, but the photographs were vivid, capturing moments of laughter, joy, and love. I flipped through the pages, my eyes scanning the faces, and then I saw it. A photograph of my grandmother, young and vibrant, her arm wrapped around another woman. The woman in the photo was strikingly familiar, her short, dark hair and piercing eyes sending a jolt of recognition through me. She looked almost exactly like the stranger from the cemetery. I turned the photograph over, and written on the back in my grandmother's elegant handwriting were the words, "Me and Elena, summer of '65. Elena." The name sent a shiver down my spine. Could this be the same Elena who had written the love letter? The same Elena whose eyes had locked onto mine in the pouring rain? It seemed impossible, and yet there was an undeniable connection, a thread that seemed to weave through time, binding us together. I spent the rest of the day poring over the letters, each one a piece of a puzzle that was slowly coming together. The letters spoke of a love that was both beautiful and heart-wrenching, a love that had been forced to hide in the shadows, stolen moments, and whispered promises. And as I read, I felt a growing sense of determination, a need to uncover the truth, to bring this love story to light. But the more I read, the more questions I had. Who was Elena, really? What had happened to her and my grandmother? And how was the stranger from the cemetery connected to all of this? I needed answers, and I knew there was only one way to get them. I had to find Elena, or at least find out what had happened to her. I started my search with the pocket watch. It was an antique, the silver casing tarnished with age, the initials EH engraved on the back. I took it to an antique shop downtown, hoping to find some information about its origins. The shop owner, an elderly man with a kind smile, examined the watch carefully, his eyes lighting up with recognition. "Ah, this is a rare piece," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "It's a family heirloom passed down through generations. The initials stand for Elena Hartley, a prominent family in the area back in the day." Elena Hartley. The name sent a thrill of excitement through me. I finally had a lead, a starting point in my search for the truth. I thanked the shop owner and rushed home, eager to dive back into the letters to find any mention of the Hartley family. As I read, I began to piece together the story of Elena and my grandmother. They had met in the summer of '65, their love blossoming amidst the backdrop of a society that refused to accept them. They had kept their love a secret, stolen moments and whispered promises, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. But as the summer drew to a close, so did their time together. Elena's family had found out about their relationship, and in a fit of rage and disappointment, they had sent Elena away, severing the ties that bound them together. The letters grew more desperate, more heart-wrenching as the years passed. Elena wrote of her longing, her pain, her unwavering love for my grandmother, and my grandmother in turn wrote of her own heartache, her loneliness, her enduring love for Elena. It was a love story that was as beautiful as it was tragic, a testament to the power of love in the face of adversity. But the letters also held a glimmer of hope. In the final letter, dated just a few years before my grandmother's death, Elena wrote of her return to the city, her desire to reconnect, to find the love that had been lost to time and circumstance. And as I read the final words, I felt a surge of determination, a need to find Elena, to bring this love story full circle. I turned my attention back to the stranger from the cemetery, the woman who had sparked this journey of discovery. Could she be connected to Elena, to the Hartley family? The resemblance was uncanny, the eyes, the short dark hair, the air of mystery that surrounded her. I needed to find her, to find out who she was, to understand the connection that I had felt between us. And so, armed with the letters, the pocket watch, and a newfound sense of purpose, I set out on a journey to find Elena, to uncover the truth about my grandmother's past, and to understand the destiny that seemed to be written in the stars. Little did I know that this journey would lead me to a love of my own, a love that was as unexpected as it was extraordinary. But more on that later. For now, let me take you back to the rain, to the letters, and to the stranger who would become so much more than just a fleeting glimpse in the storm. With a renewed sense of purpose, I began my search for Elena Hartley, determined to uncover the truth about her and my grandmother's past. I started with the local library, poring over old newspaper clippings and archives, hoping to find any mention of the Hartley family. After hours of searching, I finally stumbled upon an obituary dated a few years back. It was for Elena Hartley, and it listed her surviving family members, including a granddaughter named Charlotte. My heart skipped a beat as I realized that this could be the connection I was looking for. I managed to track down an address for Charlotte Hartley, and with a mix of excitement and nervousness, I found myself standing on her doorstep, the velvet box containing the letters and the pocket watch clutched tightly in my hand. I took a deep breath and knocked on the door, my heart pounding in my chest. The door opened, and there she was, the stranger from the cemetery, her dark hair slightly disheveled, her eyes filled with a mix of surprise and recognition. She was dressed in a casual sweater and jeans, a stark contrast to the tailored suit she had worn in the rain, but her presence was no less captivating. "It's you," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked at me, her eyes widening in realization. "You're the woman from the funeral," she replied, her voice steady but soft. "What are you doing here?" I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "I'm looking for Elena Hartley," I explained. "I think she might have known my grandmother, and I was hoping to find out more about their connection." Charlotte's expression shifted, a mix of emotions playing across her face. "Elena was my grandmother," she said, stepping aside to let me in. "Come in, please. I think we have a lot to talk about." As I stepped into her home, I felt a sense of familiarity, a warmth that seemed to envelop me. The house was filled with photographs and mementos, each one telling a story of love and family. I followed Charlotte into the living room, where we sat down, the velvet box resting on the coffee table between us. "I found these letters," I began, opening the box and handing her the stack tied with the faded ribbon. "They were among my grandmother's things, and I think they might have been written by Elena." Charlotte took the letters, her fingers tracing the faded ink, and as she read, I saw the same recognition, the same emotional response that I had felt when I first discovered them. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with tears. "These are my grandmother's letters," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I never knew about this, about their love story. She never talked about it." I reached out, placing a comforting hand on her arm. "I think they were in love," I said softly, "and I think they were forced to keep it a secret. But their love was real, and it was powerful, and it deserves to be remembered." Charlotte nodded, her eyes meeting mine, and in that moment I felt a connection, a bond that went beyond the letters, beyond our shared history. It was as if the stars had aligned, bringing us together, guiding us on this journey of discovery and love. Over the next few days, Charlotte and I spent hours poring over the letters, piecing together the story of Elena and my grandmother. We laughed, we cried, and we marveled at the strength and resilience of their love. And as we did, I felt myself falling for Charlotte, drawn to her in a way that was both unexpected and inevitable. There were moments when our hands would brush against each other, sending a jolt of electricity through me. There were times when our eyes would meet, and I would feel a flutter in my chest, a warmth that spread through my entire being. And there were nights when we would stay up late, talking about everything and nothing, our connection growing stronger with each passing moment. But as our bond deepened, so did the complexity of our situation. Charlotte was still coming to terms with her own identity, her own journey of self-discovery. She had grown up in a conservative family, her sexuality a source of confusion and struggle. And as we fell for each other, she found herself grappling with the same fears and uncertainties that had once plagued our grandmothers. One evening, as we sat on her balcony watching the stars, Charlotte turned to me, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. "I'm scared, Emma," she said, her voice soft but steady. "I'm scared of what this means, of what people will say, of how my family will react." I reached out and took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "I know," I replied, "and I understand. But remember, our grandmothers faced the same fears, the same struggles, and their love endured. We owe it to them and to ourselves to be brave, to be true to who we are and what we feel." Charlotte looked at me, her eyes searching mine, and I saw the same determination, the same unwavering love that I had seen in the letters. She leaned in, her lips brushing against mine in a soft, tender kiss that sent a wave of emotion crashing over me. In that moment, I knew that our love was written in the stars, that it was a testament to the love that had come before us, and that it was a force that nothing could break, nothing could shake. But as we embraced, lost in the magic of the moment, Neither of us could have predicted the twist that fate had in store for us, a twist that would test our love and our courage in the most extraordinary way. As Charlotte and I continued to explore our feelings for each other, our bond growing stronger with each passing day, we found ourselves drawn deeper into the story of our grandmother's love. We spent hours poring over the letters, each one revealing more about the depth and intensity of their connection. It was as if their love story was unfolding before our eyes, guiding us, teaching us about the power of love and the importance of fighting for it. One day, as we were reading through the letters, we came across a mention of a secret place, a hidden spot where Elena and my grandmother used to meet, a sanctuary where their love could flourish away from the prying eyes of the world. The letter described a small cabin by a lake, surrounded by woods, a place where time seemed to stand still. Charlotte and I looked at each other, our eyes wide with excitement and curiosity. We knew we had to find this place, to see it for ourselves, to feel the echoes of the love that had once filled its walls. After some research and a few false starts, we finally managed to track down the location of the cabin. It was a few hours' drive away, nestled deep in the woods, a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. The journey to the cabin was an adventure in itself. We drove through winding roads, the trees forming a canopy above us, the sunlight filtering through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground. We laughed and talked, our hearts light with anticipation and joy. As we pulled up to the cabin, we were greeted by a sight that took our breath away. The cabin was old but well-maintained, its wooden walls weathered by time, its windows reflecting the shimmering surface of the lake. It was as if we had stepped back in time, into a world where love was simple and pure, unburdened by the complexities of the modern world. As we explored the cabin, we found remnants of the past, old photographs, love notes, and mementos that told the story of Elena and my grandmother's love. Each item was a treasure, a piece of history that brought their love to life, making it tangible and real. We spent the day lost in the magic of the place, our hearts filled with a sense of wonder and awe. But as the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew cooler, and a sense of unease settled over us. It was as if the cabin, the lake, the very woods around us were holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. And then, just as the last rays of sunlight disappeared below the horizon, we heard it, a soft, melancholic melody playing on an old gramophone. The sound was faint, almost ethereal, as if it were coming from another time, another world. We followed the sound, our hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation, and as we stepped into the main room of the cabin, we were greeted by a sight that left us both speechless. Standing by the gramophone were two figures, an older woman with silver hair and kind eyes, and beside her, a younger woman with short dark hair and a familiar smile. They were translucent, their forms shimmering like a mirage, but their presence was undeniable. It was Elena and my grandmother, their spirits still lingering in the place where their love had once flourished. We stood there, frozen in shock and awe as the figures turned to look at us. Their eyes held a warmth, a love that transcended time and space, a love that was as powerful and enduring as the stars above. They smiled at us, a silent blessing, a testament to the love that had brought us to this moment. And then, as suddenly as they had appeared, they were gone, leaving behind only the fading echoes of the melody and the lingering scent of their perfume. Charlotte and I looked at each other, our eyes filled with tears, our hearts overflowing with emotion. We had witnessed something extraordinary, something that defied logic and reason, something that was pure magic. In that moment, we knew that our love was not just written in the stars, but blessed by them, guided by them, a love that was as eternal and unyielding as the love that had come before us. We embraced, our hearts beating as one, our love a beacon of hope and resilience in the face of adversity. But as we stood there, lost in the magic of the moment, we had no idea that our journey was far from over, that the cabin held more secrets, more surprises that would test our love and our courage in the most extraordinary way. As we prepared to leave the cabin, we noticed a small, hidden compartment in the floorboards. Inside, we found a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed with age, its cover worn from years of use. We opened it, our hearts pounding with anticipation, and as we read the first page, we realized that this was not just a journal, but a record of a love that had spanned decades, a love that had been kept hidden, a love that was now ours to uncover and share with the world. Over the next few days, we pored over the journal, each entry revealing more about the depth and intensity of Elena and my grandmother's love. We laughed, we cried, and we marveled at the strength and resilience of their connection. And as we read, we felt a growing sense of purpose, a need to share their story, to bring their love to light, to honor the legacy that they had left behind. But little did we know that our journey to uncover the truth about our grandmother's love would lead us on a path of self-discovery, a path that would test our own love, our own courage, and our own belief in the power of destiny. And as we stood on the precipice of a new beginning, we had no idea just how wild and unpredictable our love story was about to become. With the journal in our possession, and the blessing of our grandmother's spirits fresh in our minds, Charlotte and I returned to the city, our hearts filled with a newfound sense of purpose and determination. We knew that we had to share Elena and my grandmother's love story with the world, to honor their legacy and to bring their love to light. But we also knew that this journey would not be easy, that it would require us to confront our own fears, our own uncertainties, and our own struggles with identity and acceptance. Our first step was to start documenting our grandmother's love story, using the letters, the journal, and our own experiences to piece together a narrative that was both powerful and authentic. We spent hours poring over the materials, each word, each phrase bringing us closer to the truth, closer to the love that had transcended time and adversity. As we worked, Charlotte and I grew even closer, our bond deepening with each passing day. We found ourselves finishing each other's sentences, anticipating each other's needs, and supporting each other through the challenges that came our way. Our love became a source of strength, a beacon of hope in the face of uncertainty and doubt. But even as our love flourished, we knew that we would have to face the realities of the world around us. Charlotte, in particular, struggled with the idea of coming out to her family, of revealing her true self to those who might not understand or accept her. I saw the fear in her eyes, the worry that gnawed at her, and I knew that I had to be there for her, to support her, to love her through the storm. One evening, as we sat in her apartment, surrounded by the remnants of our grandmother's love story, Charlotte turned to me, her eyes filled with tears. "I'm scared, Emma," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm scared of what my family will say, of how they'll react. I don't want to lose them, but I also don't want to lose you, to lose this love that we've found." I reached out and took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "I know, Charlotte," I replied, my voice steady and sure. and I understand. But remember, our grandmothers faced the same fears, the same struggles, and their love endured. We owe it to them and to ourselves to be true to who we are, to fight for our love, no matter what challenges come our way. Charlotte looked at me, her eyes searching mine, and I saw the same determination, the same unwavering love that I had seen in the cabin, that I had seen in the journal, that I had seen in the letters. She took a deep breath and nodded, her resolve strengthening with each passing moment. And so, hand in hand, we embarked on the next chapter of our journey, a journey that would take us through the trials and tribulations of coming out, of facing rejection and acceptance, of fighting for our love in the face of adversity. We documented every step of the way, every challenge, every triumph, every tear, and every laugh. Our love story became a testament to the power of love, to the strength of the human spirit, and to the enduring legacy of our grandmother's love. As we shared our story with the world, we were met with an outpouring of support and love, a chorus of voices that echoed our own experiences, that amplified our own struggles, and that celebrated our own triumphs. We received letters and messages from people all over the world, each one a reminder of the power of love, of the importance of fighting for what we believe in, and of the enduring legacy of those who came before us. But the most powerful, the most profound moment of our journey came when we received a letter from Charlotte's family, a letter that brought tears to our eyes and joy to our hearts. It was a letter of acceptance, of understanding, of love and support. It was a letter that acknowledged the struggles that Charlotte had faced, the courage that she had shown, and the love that she had found. It was a letter that brought our journey full circle, that healed the wounds of the past, and that paved the way for a future filled with love, acceptance, and hope. And so, as we stand here today, our love story has become a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of love, and a reminder of the enduring legacy of our grandmother's love. Our journey has been one of self-discovery, of acceptance, of courage, and of love, a love that was written in the stars, a love that was blessed by the spirits of our grandmothers, a love that has changed our lives in the most profound and extraordinary way. If you've been inspired by our love story, if you've been moved by the power of love and the enduring legacy of those who came before us, then we invite you to join us on this journey, to share your own stories, to fight for love, and to honor the legacy of those who paved the way for us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, to watch our videos, and to comment down below with your favorite part of our story. Because our journey is far from over, and we can't wait to share more of our adventures, more of our love, more of our triumphs and challenges with you. Until next time, remember, love is out there, waiting to be discovered, waiting to change your life in the most beautiful, most unexpected ways possible. All you have to do is open your heart, take a chance, and embrace the journey. Who knows, your love story might just be the next great adventure, the next testament to the power of love written in the stars. Thank you for being a part of our journey, for your support, and for your love. We can't wait to see where this adventure takes us next, and we hope you'll be right there with us every step of the way. Until then, keep loving, keep dreaming, and keep believing in the power of destiny, because you never know when the love of your life might be just around the corner, written in the stars and waiting to be discovered.